So what's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ron. Welcome to my channel. Today is December 10th, 2025. We received a couple inches of snow over the last, day and a half, I would say. So we're just in the park here getting things cleaned up. So this is going to be a little bit more of a raw style video. I wonder what happened there. Looks like somebody wasn't paying attention. I don't know how you... Hold on, we gotta examine this for a second. So if you're looking in this camera, you hopefully can see, it looks like there's some there's some tire tracks in there. I don't quite know how they did that, other than they just couldn't have been paying attention, because the roads are not that bad and you're not getting any speed here. So very weird. Okay, in any case, back to the show. So this is going to be, I think, more raw in form than what I have been trying to put out recently. I was loading my gear into the tractor and accidentally managed to drop my drone. So, and darned if it didn't chip one of the props. So, and it doesn't take super long to change them, but it's just long enough to where I really want to get my work done and not sit and finagle with that. So I guess the drone's gonna have to wait a day, you know? So it's kind of a bummer. I like the, what would you call it? The workflow to creative flow. What would you know, the work to creative synergy, let's call it, with the drone versus trying to do things with my Panasonic and tripod. The reason being, when I'm using the Panasonic and tripod, I have to physically walk to, over, let's just say I'm packing snow in over here by this tree. I have to walk there and put the tripod up, which doesn't sound like a big deal until you're plowing, when these snow hills get to be 4 feet tall or more, and you're trying to traverse that stuff, and it all takes time, and it takes time away from you getting your work done. And at the end of the day, I have to be fairly productive. There's really nothing more to add to that. That's kind of the end of the sentence. You have to be at least a little productive. So at least in the situation I'm in. So I've got quite a bit of stuff that I have to take care of. And the advantage with the drone being, I can toss it out here, and I have to take about 2 seconds to look up where I put the drone and see if, yes, it's going to hit a power line, or yes, it's going to hit a tree, or no, we're clear for takeoff. And then I can hop back in the tractor here, get it launched in the air, and move it over to the location, and then plow around. And honestly, once that thing's launched, it's super easy for me to just take it up, or just move to a different spot real quick, or basically anything I want to do with it. The only limit that thing has is when the battery dies. So that's a real easy limit to work with. Let's do this. We're going to swap around. We're going to push half this way, and we'll push half this way. So, but back to the drone again, it's operating in a time-sensitive work environment. That drone is probably something I wish I would have purchased quite a bit sooner, because it is just way more efficient. For me specifically, you know, if you've got a cameraman with you, then I mean, the cameraman's still probably going to want access to the drone, but for someone like me in my situation that's trying to work the snow, and work the show, I guess, it's just a real game changer. Now look at this. I don't know how well you can see that, but that is basically grass. So that is a real high mark, in my opinion, for this Hiniker plow. Is I just have so little issue with damage to our terrain with this thing. Because of its trip edges. I mean, you can see it in that. I was worried about that next pass because we're getting into more and more grass. But I mean, you can see the snow's basically all white. So So, but anyway, nothing special with this winter storm really. It just dropped a couple inches. For a while there, they were talking about, I think, 1 to 3 Monday night. With what were they saying there for a while? 3 to 6 or 5 to 8, and we really just didn't see anywhere close to that kind of snow here in northern Wisconsin. It really all went to the south. There we scraped up a little bit of turf. So hopefully by the time we see our next snowfall, this will be pretty well frozen up. So I am curious, how many of you that watch my videos make videos yourselves, you know, such as, I mean, any video really, it all takes time to set up and plan, right? So, but doing stuff like this where you're kind of the one-man show, pushing snow around and but in any case, yeah, you know, for someone like yourself who makes your own videos, what do you find to be the thing, the the biggest time sink? Is it getting your shots set up, or editing's the other big one that stands out to me anyway. It can, especially when you don't get the footage you think you pulled, you know what I mean? You spend all the time, you think you got a great shot, and like the other day for me, I got the drone up in the air, got it set up where I wanted it, and I actually went ahead and I had it doing some fun thing where it was kind of rotating around me. Super excited. I have a mount right here so I can watch. Well, not really so much watch, but monitor. Glance over and just see, you know, is the drone in the air still, or did it hit a tree, or, you know, what's it captured? And I just glanced at the thing and I saw what I was getting out of what the drone was seeing. It's like, oh man, this is chef's kiss, you know, this is the good stuff. I'm super proud of myself. It's like, man, you're finally getting this drone thing down. So get the thing get the driveway done, and and go to end the record on the drone before I shut the drone off, because it turns out, this is fun little factoid that I've run into. If you shut the drone off before you actually ended the recording, there's a chance it'll corrupt the file, which is kind of probably a no duh to most people, but I just didn't think about it one time, and the same situation where he had a really good shot set up, but wound up turning the drone off, and before I ended the record session, and it corrupted the file. So, but getting back to the other day here, I was so excited because I had this nice flyover shot and everything looked great, and I knew I was getting a good shot, and so proud of myself. Smug, I would go so far to say as. Went to end the record session. I hadn't started the record session, so I was so upset. I've done that. I did that last year a couple times. It's like, man, and in the same location too, of all things. Like, same location, kind of same setup. We're gonna blow this here. I can't do that in high gear though. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, you know, it's so disappointing when you think you're so smart, you know, then you do something just completely useless like that. You think, darn, I'm going to be the next greatest cinematographer or something, you know. And James Cameron's going to see my video, my four-wheeling video, or my snow plowing video, and he's going to come calling. He's going to be like, I saw your video. It was the most greatest thing I've ever seen. And I made the Avatar films. People throw money at me. I'm such a god. I let Jack die, and everyone forgave me. And I want you on my team for when I shoot Titanic 2, the Titanicing. And then you go and look and you haven't even shot your video yet. You spend a half hour with your drone in the air, and it's basically just floating around you like a balloon. Yep, that was a disappointing moment for me. One of one of many, sadly. and it won't be the last time either. I'm sure I'll do that same stupid thing again. I didn't think about it. I should have probably blown this, but oh well. That circles back to, like I say, one of my reasons why, for me, finding ways to make my creative side, making these videos, not inhibit my work side, is kind of important to me. Because I forget some of the dumbest things like that. And as much as that stinks, forgetting to tell your drone to record, it sucks even more when you have to walk over there, set up a tripod in the snowbank, and then forget to hit record on that. And then you walk back, and it's not until that moment where you find out that, darn, I just didn't even capture any of the footage, and I've been plowing in front of this thing for a half hour, and I got nothing to show for it. You know, that sucks. It's definitely one of those things that makes you rethink your life. We can probably speed this up a little bit. It's going to, we're in mid-range. We'll do mid-range third. Looks like we're mixing some leaves in there. we'll just take this edge and so with plowing, I tend to run the tractor here, this Kioti RX7320, in usually high, at least, yeah, pushing forward anyway. I run in the high gear set, and I run typically first gear. So I find that it seems to function well for that. For more precise stuff like what I'm doing here where I'm backblading, I tend to go into the medium. And I just shift right into medium first usually. So it's not the fastest, but it feels, it feels slow pulling it forward, but going back feels about right to me. I had to check because I'm sitting here talking about cameras. Couldn't remember if I turned on the DJI Action 4. So one thing that I'll mention for newbies to the blower game that I'm super self-conscious of is I think it is actually surprising how high up the I can't think of the word. I'm going to call it the stack because I can't think of what else I'd call it right now. But your chute, yeah, that's probably what it's actually called. The chute. It's surprising how high the chute is on the Norman blower. So especially on a tractor like this, I'm barely lifting this thing off the ground. It's like 6 inches off the ground, and you can see it's it's almost as high up as the roof of the tractor. So when you get overhangs and eaves, and you're even going to put your machine in the garage for the evening, stuff like that, you gotta have an awareness and think about where that chute is, and your control there, I don't know, I'm just gonna use the technical term, your flapper. Because you'll get in a spot and you'll be backing up and you'll be all worried about where you're at in the ground, on the ground. Completely forget about that 2-foot overhang on that garage or something like that, and wham, you run into it. So I haven't really heard anyone talk about that as I've watched, kind of videos on the subject. And so I guess I'm going to correct that error and mention it to folks that you got to be looking up as well as down with one of these things. So, but yeah, back to the discussion on stupid things you find you often do. Let me know in the comment section what goofy thing it is you do during your process, whether it's even operating the tractor. So talking about that, I find I always forget to move my steering wheel position back toward me. I always put it in gear, and then as I'm starting to leave, realize I'm way up here and I don't need to be. And then it turns into an awkward moment. Where it just basically throws off my, again, my flow. So, because it's like, how do I approach the situation? And at first, sometimes it's like, oh, I'll just lean down. But then I accidentally pull my my foot away from the clutch or something, and I start rolling, and it's just stupid stuff, And so then I end up axing that. I don't know why this adjustment keeps tightening up on me. So then I'll be like, oh, I'll just keep my foot on the brake, not put the parking, brake on or whatever. And maybe I don't know whether I've got a seat issue or what's going on here. But there are times where I'll put the brake on and I'll get up out of the seat and it'll still kill the motor. And I don't feel like it should do that, but it does it. So let's see where it's sending this snow. I don't need to be sending it through people's windows. Okay. And for someone who's had 247 hours of seat time in this tractor, it is a little bit embarrassing, that I still make goofy mistakes like that, like just forgetting to pull the steering wheel back, or when I'm going to get out of the tractor, I forget the process that works best for me for putting the steering wheel back up. Which sounds simple enough, except it actually is kind of, you would think it would start with setting the emergency brake, but for me, the steering wheel's actually kind of in the way for me. I have to lean way over it and kind of reach around it to try and engage that brake, and it's just for me it's in kind of it puts me in a weird body articulation. And it's just a little bit annoying. So the correct way for me to do it that doesn't drive me insane is to put my foot on the steering lock and move it first. And then the parking brake, and then whatever else I need to do to exit the machine. We're just gonna pack this thing up and we're gonna shoot it at this tree over here. So I do try, this is one habit that I do seem to have some success at training myself to do. After I've used my blower, no matter which direction I've got it set to blow, after I'm done with it, I always set it so that, as you can see, the hydraulic ram is parallel to me, if that makes sense, you know. So that I can see the hydraulic ram and it's centered, and I put the flapper down I point the flapper down, and the reason I do that is because by positioning that hydraulic ram in that way, the chute is at its narrowest, which gives me the most vision behind me. And with that flapper down, I am less likely to grab any of these low-hanging tree branches. I'm less likely to grab any low-hanging tree branches or anything else. It's actually a pretty significant, foot taller? That chute's probably a foot taller when that flapper is up in the air. So just trying to train yourself to get used to doing that is a really big help. in my opinion. And if you work close around smaller cars like this, keep an eye on how high you're carrying your blower and where their mirrors are, because man, it is, especially in a bigger tractor like this, it's amazing how high up this thing can lift that blower and how low these cars actually are. I don't think I mentioned it before, but this thing has, for those wondering that are looking to use like an RX for this sort of stuff, it has a incredible heating system, I think. So it is currently 8 degrees Fahrenheit. It's actually quite chilly out. And I'm roasting. So, but unfortunately some of my windows are frosting over a little bit here, so I need to set the heat to high and let it blow on the windows a little bit. So I've been plowing this place a long time. And I have a few stories. I've always preferred to plow in the middle of the night. There used to be a house here. And the guy that lived there, he was something else. I mean, he was just a real piece of work. And I would be plowing this, and it would be the middle of the night. Up and back, you know, it's stuff like that. And I noticed that all of a sudden his outside light would flash. And I had always assumed that it was you know, he had a light issue, an electrical issue or something. But what in retrospect, I'm pretty sure he was mad that I was plowing, and then he was flashing because he was angry at me and wanted me to go away. So unfortunately for him, I did not. And he's dead now, so I win. So, and then another story, it must be something on this particular road, because I think basically all my stories are on this road. There was another guy that lived in one of these houses over here. I was pushing the banks back because back in the day, I never pushed the snow the way you see me do now, where I push straight down the road to keep the snow out of everyone's driveway and yard. I think it was this house here. I was moving the banks back so that I'd have more more space to stack snow. And he came outside and he said to me, he said, if you put any more snow in my front yard, I'm going to shoot you. You know, not smiling, not laughing, he was not joking. That guy was dead serious. He had had enough of snow being piled in his driveway. And so I think I still, you know, I still did ultimately continue pushing the snow there, but that's kind of what led me to what I do now, where I just move it this far because I can appreciate that some people get frustrated with the snow. So it's kind of obnoxious doing this, honestly. It's definitely not efficient. I would never recommend anyone who wants to actually make any money at this and save fuel do it this way, but I've never had anyone threaten to shoot me doing it this way either. So although that old man would probably be sitting there, he'd have probably broke the switch off his outside light by now if this is how I did it back then. I hope it gave him arthritis. He was a jerk. That said, if you do live in a place that gets a lot of snow, like we sometimes can, having that extra space when things do get pretty strained as far as where you can stack your snow. You know, because if it gets dire, I still can pile snow in the front yards. Come March and we get a 2-foot snowstorm and I'm out of I can't do anything with my banks anymore, or, you know, granted now I have the blower, so it's going to make that a much easier thing. The blower's does solve a lot of that concern. Well, you know, still, it's just nice to have a plan B. So I'm hoping this is frozen enough that it doesn't chew up all our, I don't even know if it's fair to call this gravel, our dirt. That's good. Just missed a little ridge here, so. Okay. Yeah, this is dirt here. This is just a little bit. It's also probably kind of icy. I think I plowed this last time, but not sure what's right there that's causing the trip heads to jump. All right, well, let's do a risky gamble and see if we can blow this. Don't really need to have it pointed that high. Well, so far so good, really. So unfortunately, I didn't think to bring any more batteries. And our Sony bit the dust. For whatever reason, that camera does not like to be plugged in and operating at the same time. I don't know why. I don't know if I'm running the wrong type of cable. But when I try and use it, unless I plug it in a certain way, it sets it to like a live feed style camera. So I don't really have any controls over it. I can't tell it to record and anything like that. It's kind of its own thing, and I don't quite know why or what the story is. I have actually looked through the owner's manual where somebody points that out. And I really haven't seen anything, unless like I say, I missed it, but I really didn't see anything that caught my attention to explain or troubleshoot why that would occur and how to prevent it from happening. That's about the biggest negative I can possibly say about that Sony after all these years of using it, is it doesn't like to run plugged in. Which is kind of a nothing issue, you know? So, and there we go, a nice crisp, clean cut. There, see, would you look at that? I actually got my rhythm correctly. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's our video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up. And I'm at, I think, 1,114 subs. I would like to continue to share more adventures in snow blowing and snow maintenance and ATV stuff. So if that's something you enjoy, please hit the subscribe button, and you know, for another one of my plow videos, feel free to click here, and I'll see you over there.